Got a recommendation from Stuart Brooks here saying we should check in with the Wagner Group. If you're not familiar, the old Ruskies have hired a group of military contractors called the Wagner Group. They are not good people, but um, they're in conflict with folks that I very much disagree with. You see, what happened was while fighting on for the Russians, apparently they took a bombardment from Russian forces, and as a result of that, um, wow, wow. As a result of that, sorry, I'm just catching up here. Um, they have said they are marching on Russia. Essentially, that's my understanding. I may be incorrect, but the AP will correct me if that is so. So we're gonna watch a piece here and now by the AP. This could be a massive change in the war in Ukraine. This could be huge. The Wagner Group was doing a lot of the worst dirty work for Russia, and apparently getting sick of being treated like disposable, or the most disposable soldiers. If they are now turning their forces against Russia, much like how electorally we're planning on draining, or I'm advocating for draining GOP resources by making them fight hard for Texas. This could do the same thing with Russia suddenly having to fight to defend itself from its own hired mercenaries. My word. Let's have a look.
Нести без боеприпасов потери в Бахмуте бесполезные и неоправданные. Мои парни не будут.
Whoa.
Входим в тыловые районы. Да, сказали, будем выходить потихоньку. Да. Ну что, парни, все? Через 10-15...
После того, как мы передали фланги, то произошло не тактическое отступление. Поэтому товарищ Коношенков, мягко говоря, слукавил. Произошло просто бегство подразделений Министерства обороны с флангов.
Сегодня, пополудня в 12 часов, полностью был взят Бахмут.
That is interesting. All right, we're going to do a follow-up, and I already see... Oof. Tell you what. Do you want... And let me know in the comments here. Do you want to hear Ukraine war based on lies, which is frankly true, but it's being told from a former ally of Russia, as in this might get to the Russian people? Do you want to hear that from Reuters, which is a straight news organization, or do you want to hear commentary oh God, Vosh, no, or do you want to hear commentary from Bo of the Fifth Column? It's going to be a little bit more sober, but it's going to be an assessment from somebody who has a let's be real here, a very good understanding of how militaries function. Tell me in the comments. You will dictate where this goes. It's a choose your own adventure. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Stuart Brooks, Prigozhin is trying to pull a Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon. Are more equal. Basically, we didn't get much from that 50 seconds of footage, other than saying he said he entered into Russia and experienced no resistance, and that does not surprise me. So what do you guys think? Bo of the Fifth Column or Reuters? Let me know. Probably first person to rattle something off is going to get it. I go Bo every time, says Wireless Mike. Well, you got good taste. Rabin, good to see you. Tough to make these when at work. Fair enough. Well, I'll tell you what, we're doing Bo of the Fifth Column.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's
Howdy,
Bo
Bo.
again. So today we are going to talk about what's happening in Russia. We're going to talk about what's
Woo!
confirmed, what's reported, what's possible, what's likely, where it goes from here, if anywhere.
This was the correct call. Well done. Ooh boy. I'll tell you, the only thing that I know for sure is that it ain't good for Putin, which means it's great for the rest of the world. But let's listen to what degree.
We'll talk about whether or not we're going to be watching Swan Lake really soon. Okay, and I've referenced that in the past, and every time I get questions. If there is a surprising change of leadership in Russia, oftentimes Swan Lake will be played over the TVs. It's kind of a tradition there. Okay, so what's going on? The reporting suggests that Russian troops, military troops, traditional military, launched a strike that hit Wagner. Okay, Wagner is their private, the private forces. Wagner is understandably upset about this. They believe it to be intentional. Okay? What we know is that Wagner troops got hit. Okay? Do we know that it was the Russian military? Not really. That hasn't really been confirmed yet.
I would say it makes no sense. No sense at all for that to be intentional. But I do want to point out here and now, before we go much farther into this, this is what happens when you have a corrupt military. And heads up, this is the path the United States is on. With the amount of unchecked military spending we have, this is what it's leading to. The way, God help us, the way Russia's military is nowadays. When they're unchecked, the military leaders feel that they have leeway to get away with things, and they will try to use that to better their own positions. And I'm not even suggesting that I know it's this, that, or the other thing. It's the uncertainty that is so dangerous here. It's where their their private military contractors, their mercenaries, could reasonably believe that they were targeted. That's the kind of environment they're fighting in right now, and that has led to, apparently, this. Wagner turning around and marching to Russia. That also, by the way, gives me a little hint of how strong Wagner thinks Russia is. That they could do this and live. I don't think this is a death march. I have so many questions that are cropping up. Let's just let Bo go.
But it also doesn't matter because Wagner believes that's who it was.
Yeah, there you go.
There has been a lot of tension between Wagner and the traditional military. It is coming to a boil. The boss of Wagner made some statements that some might interpret as an open call to arms, and indicated his desire to punish the leadership of the conventional military. The FSB, Russia's internal security, has reportedly started a criminal probe into the statements of the boss of Wagner, because that, if true, they're like way out of line. Okay, so all of this pretty well confirmed. This is stuff that has occurred. Whether or not the interpretations of the people on the ground are accurate doesn't really matter. That's the lay of the land at the moment. There are reports of troop movements. Some of the reports are pretty significant numbers. I don't necessarily believe the upper end of those numbers, but if these reports are accurate,
that's the upper end.
The movements could certainly be interpreted as Wagner making a move against the traditional, conventional Russian military leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Possible, kind of likely, scale up for debate, but not 100% confirmed at time of filming. There is also reporting suggesting that major buildings within Russia that are important for the continued governing of the country by the people currently in power have had some increased security.
Okay, context. Remember, we talked about why Russia actually was invading Ukraine. Like, why Ukraine and not Poland? Why Ukraine and not yada yada, Lithuania? Why, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Ukraine borders Russia, and Russia's capital is very close to that border. So Wagner crosses over from Ukraine into Russia. They are automatically, by default, close to the capital. Hence, what you're hearing right now. Also interesting that Bo is saying they're going after, or it sounds like they might be, there's a lot of qualifiers there, but targeting Russian leadership. I don't think Wagner has any illusions about defeating the entire Russian military, of which they are a small part. But as I said in the beginning, how they understand how, or have a better understanding, or at least believe they have a better understanding of how Russia is weak, or would have some sort of plan. That's revealing to us now what that weakness is. The Russian leadership. How interesting. So, it would appear things aren't exactly stable on the home front. Can't stress enough, this is somebody in a believed to be safe void, very far away from these things, who has not been fighting over there. I don't really know. I'm just gathering the pieces of information we have about this, but they are all fascinating.
It's reported, not confirmed. I know people are going to say, well, we've seen these clips. I haven't had time to verify that those are now. This, given everything else, this is possible, likely even. Okay. I will have a link to a video down below. I can't remember how long ago it was, but less than 60 days ago, that might provide a little bit of context to this. So, that's what's going on. Does this mean that you should be popping your popcorn to get ready to watch Swan Lake? No, not necessarily. This could resolve itself relatively quickly. It could resolve itself without major issue even. This is something that theoretically could be handled via back channel pressure and phone calls. Will it? No clue. But that's a possible outcome. It is also possible that it completely spirals out of control. We don't know what's going to happen. So it's not time to pop your popcorn for Swan Lake. But if you wanted to watch the ballerinas warm up, you might want to pop your popcorn for that, because that's kind of what's going on right now. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
Oh, the prop at the end got me. Ha-cha-cha. Well, I think I know one of the topics we're going to be talking about on Salty Saturday, where we just enjoy something salty and laugh at the bad guys. Ooh, that's, I don't know the severity of this. I'm right there with Bo here. I can't even pretend to know how this is going to go. I do know none of it's anything but bad news for Putin, which means it's great news for the rest of the world.